There's darkness inside me, I can feel it. And then you're gonna end up with a perfect balance. Welcome loves to my YouTube channel. My name is VassaOlga. You know, I look serious, like this girl is going to be down to business in a sec. In today's video, we're going to be talking about dark shadows and the way you can apply them. I'm going to be showing you two different techniques. So for my right eye, I used a little bit kind of like beginner friendly routine and technique. For my left eye, that's a little bit harder way, but I find it personally easier. Not even easier, but this is probably like my favorite routine. You have to choose for yourself which is your favorite. In case you're interested, then please stay tuned and let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about dark eyeshadows. We're going to be talking about application. I did a camera my face routine, so it's really important that when you work with dark eyeshadows, so at first like you can do it both ways. The first way is to do your black eyeshadows right before your foundation, because like if you have any fallouts, you're definitely gonna just wipe them off and you're gonna end up with perfect foundation without any problems and without any pigment in your foundation. Another thing, we're gonna use some folded paper today and we're gonna just protect our foundation from that. I've learned the hard way that it's always better to use some protection even if you're pretty much sure in your eyeshadows and you know that they're not creasing, they're not falling. Still, there might be slightest chance that there are going to be some fallouts and it's going to be really hard to take off, especially like black eyeshadows, dark browns, like any eyeshadows. And that's why we're going to be working today with this beautiful eyeshadow palette. It has dark browns, it has black eyeshadows, it has some berry shades, and I really love this eyeshadow palette. And let's get started with priming the lid. It's going to be from NYX primer that I use for a single video. Now we're moving to the palette. This one is from Beauty Bay. So you can start both ways. The first one is to set your lid and create an eyeshadow base, like a little bit of crease moment, a little bit of like a really soft neutral shades. It's gonna help to transfer something black or like really dark over your lid, but it's gonna take a lot of time. So this is gonna be like my first option. We're gonna use some, I don't know, like beige color like that. Tap off, and it doesn't really matter which brush you're using because the shade is almost transparent. So we're gonna set the primer because like this primer might be a little bit sticky. I am gonna zoom in because I do believe that's gonna like take a while. With a crease brush, I would go to something small, let's say, maybe pointy at the same time. Though my brushes are not clean, as always, I'm gonna make sure that I wipe off any color, the previous that I used. We're gonna dig in something a little bit probably darker than we have right now. Let's go to something soft like that. It's a little bit kind of darker than the beige shade, but it's still soft enough to concentrate this over my crease. And I'm going back with the same color, the first one from the palette that we used. And then softly, I'm gonna diffuse the previous shade. I have like a tiny crease brush as well. Let's go to my color Wine. I'm gonna tap it off. I don't really need much of this shade at first, like, because it's gonna be too much. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place it a little bit lower than my actual crease because it's gonna be very, very blended and really messy. Sometimes with dark eyeshadows, it's better to use like minimum color or sometimes just some leftovers from the brush instead of going with too much shade, because too much shade is going to be like too much, obviously. We're just placing this underneath my crease. And now we're going to do another blending motion with the same soft, what is this? Bagel, with a bagel. So yeah, when you work with matte eyeshadows, with dark matte eyeshadows, you have to do a lot of blending and you have to go to so many soft eyeshadows to soften the darkness. Like, you know, it's when you watch some soap opera and people say like, oh, there's darkness inside me, I can feel it. And like the other person's like, but you have a lot of light in you as well. You have a lot of kindness. So it's kind of pretty much the same. So it's all about balance. A little bit of darkness, but a little bit of like softness won't hurt. And then you're gonna end up with a perfect balance. Look at that, it's much better. So we're not burning this too high because we concentrated this wine shade lower than the crease. And Bagel helps to implement this shade into the previous blending. I told you about creasing and fallouts and whatever. With wine shade, it was okay. Like now we're moving to like both shades, wood and black. So with these colors, where we definitely need protection. For like dark shades and the lid, with dark colors, it's not okay to use this type of brushes. They're gonna drag too much color to your crease. They're too fluffy and they're gonna grab a lot of the color and all the surface, and it's gonna just drag it everywhere. It's gonna be really messy. That's why your favorite options are gonna be these brushes, like pointy brushes, very soft. Maybe sometimes you can go to some flat brush as well. It's another option. Let me go to that brush and color wood. So we're gonna grab a little bit and then generously tap it off, because like there's gonna be a lot of color. If you feel like paper is gonna harm your eye or something, just swirl that in your hands so it's not stiff any longer. And now what we're doing, we're just placing this color to the rest of the lid, because believe me, black on top is gonna cover everything. So here it is. We stamped this shade and you can see that it's not even, not at all. And you can work with the same brush and try to blend this out, diffuse it, but you still have a lot of leftovers for now. That's why you might actually get this too high. You can try to work it this way, but it might be too much. Another way, another option is to go to the wine. So when you work with dark eyeshadows, it's better to work like, so if you have like brown, but before brown you had wine, so you go to this wine shade on top of that brown. If you had before wine bagel, then you're going to bagel on top. So it's always going to be like the balance. If you have too much darkness, then you're going to the softer shade, the previous one, to diffuse dark eyeshadows. It's kind of crucial in my opinion to make sure that you don't have too much color. I'm going to tap off a lot of the color, and then I'm just gonna place it on top of the brown. So look at that. We're kind of diffusing, but on top, I'm not going too high. We're going to the previous color of wine. It was bagel. So now we're going to bagel with smaller brushes. And moving to like the final, the darkest shade from the palette is gonna be Raven. But it's kind of black, just black shade. And of course, we're going back to the same protection. I'm gonna wipe off any color that might be on. And then I need some pointy brush, I would say, probably. Or no, let's go to something flat. That's gonna be like a flat brush. Place the black eyeshadows really close to the lash line. I'm stepping the black shadow. I'm going to the same brush, onto the same wood shade. This one. Picking on the brush, tapping off, and then on top of black, we're going with brown. If you feel like you need stamping, you can go with stamping. If you need like a little bit of blending, you can use some swirling motions. You don't really need to bring this really high to the crease. You have to just blend out, like on top of black, you bring brown. On top of brown, you bring wine. On top of wine, you go with the bagel. So it's just like layers, 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 layers of eyeshadows. Okay. Of course, you don't really have to bring brown too low. It's kind of like in the middle where you stopped black. So where the line of black ends, you're going with brown. Where the line of brown ends, you're going with wine. And I guess we get it. And do a little bit more wine. Still not going too far. And now, bagel on top of that all. And of course, I would need a little bit of shimmers to the brow bone. Now we're moving to the left eye. What I'm gonna show you, it's like a reversed way to do that. We're gonna still set the lid first. Now I'm gonna go to my black eyeshadows. We're gonna reverse this technique. I'm gonna tap it off. Okay, we're gonna cover the under eye area. and then stem those black eyeshadows. So you have a few options right here. You can use some black pencil first to make those eyeshadows pop, or you can go to up to your crease, almost crease, a little bit lower, probably somewhere here. Like this is the crease. I would stop somewhere here, so you have the room for blending. Today we're just kind of focusing this a little bit lower, and then what I've learned, believe me, the hard way, is that with black eyeshadows, with like something really dark, it's better to go to this type of blushes for blending. For blending, it's better to go for some soft, pointy brushes, like maybe not pointy, but like short with cut brushes, because they're not gonna give you too much eyeshadows. They're gonna give you a little bit better control. So we're gonna go to the same wood shade from the same palette. Just tap it off and then place it on top of this black. But first we want to stem this color. Like, let's stamp it on top. I don't really want to bring this too high. It's gonna be almost the same level as the black shade. And then you want to do some soft blending motions. So you see that if you go to, like, for example, this pointy big brush, it's still given too much surface, and you're inevitably gonna bring this high to your crease. And that's why we're focusing on something like that, so we have a little bit better control. That's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect at once. I'm going to the pointy brush, like a smaller one, and to the same wine color, and then just again over my brown. But you see that we're like gradually still going up, not at once, but still we're going gradually. And then Bagel is gonna save the day, hopefully. I'm gonna grab a little bit of the same shade. Again, pointy brush, it's so crucial. I know that I've been telling you that all this time, but okay, we're bringing this on top of my wine color. You don't really want to bring this too low, because this brush is gonna pick up a little bit of black eyeshadow and it's just gonna be messy, really messy. That is the reason why we're just going this over wine, and that's it. Might be a little bit different because we went over and over again for that eye with different eyeshadows. We can go and do the same for that eyeshadows, but you know, I can see that I really love black. I don't want to add anything black anymore because this one is kind of pigmented, like, you know, we used black as the main shade at first. So the colors that I would probably still try to play would be wine and Bagel. So we're gonna just, you know, use them instead of wood and raven. More wine, tap off, and then just we're gonna use that on top of that brown. Again, I'm not focusing this all over my crease, just a little lower than the real crease. And now I'm going with the same Bagel on top of my wine. You know what I want to do? I'm gonna go to like the softer shade that we had, like the first one to set the lid. And with like at this point we can work with that. I wanna, you know, blend out in the outer corner and make sure that it's a little bit less bricky. And then we're gonna finish that with a little bit of shimmers. Look at that. Okay, so if you did your foundation as I did, so you can carry on with the lower lid. But if you want to do some eyeshadows first and then your foundation, then this is the moment where you stop, you know, carry on with your foundation, I mean your full face of foundation, and then you complete the lower lid. So you can do lower lid and then start with your foundation. I guess you can, but it's gonna be like a little bit hard and messy in my opinion, because like if you have black eyeshadows, you can get them in your foundation, in your wet products, in your concealer. Not good in my opinion. The best routine, if you want to bring black eyeshadows a little bit higher, you can stop like here probably, and again use with this type of brushes, like short brushes. They're going to give you full control. And then with soft shades, like it's not really, of course you can go to this wine after black if you're just like a little bit higher, but you have to be really, really careful. A little bit of brown, waterline. And then it's up to you guys. You can go with black, but if you are going with black, so the best way is to go to that kind of brushes, this type of brushes. And then just bring this like really, really close to your waterline. So you're kind of like gonna stamp this first to your waterline like that. And only then you're gonna go with like really soft color and blend this out. I'm just gonna show you, instead of black, I'm going with wood. Still really dark shade, that's why. Because it's gonna be a great example. And then I'm gonna place it really close to my waterline, almost on top of my lashes. And do not use the seam brush to blend this out because it's still gonna be really messy. You need a clean brush, and of course it's better if you have like a small brush. If you don't, it might be a little bit messy, but I really know some people, they really love when it's super messy underneath. You can play with something bright. What if I choose this shade? It doesn't have to be any color from the previous palette. Like, it can be any shade that you love. The trick is to place it on top of that brown. I'm gonna add a little bit of shimmers, let's say, in the inner corner. Why not? It's gonna be really pretty. Okay, we had wine. Let's do this one for the inner corner. I have like a pointy brush. Okay, I'm gonna finish this look with mascara, and I'll be back to conclude the video, guys. Okay guys, and that is the final result. So what do you think? This is the right eye, where we used layers blending from soft to dark eyeshadows technique, and this is the left eye, where we used from darkest shade to the softest one. What is your favorite routine? Probably this one is a little bit like easier to start with. This one is a little bit harder because using too much black might actually ruin your makeup look. So it's better to start like smaller and bring into some darker shade. And but it's up to you guys. Whatever you find more suitable, wearable, let's say, or like something that you feel easier to use, then just go ahead and grab the technique. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm gonna see you in my next video. It's gonna be uploaded really soon, hopefully. Thank you that you gave me like the whole week off. I really needed this to take some time, you know, enjoy my time. And I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye bye.